What I'm going to talk about now is organizing the essay. We've talked about how to make your writing stronger, how to make your writing more powerful. We've talked about focus, which I'm sure everybody remembers means staying on topic, not letting your writing wander all over the place. We've also talked about depth, how you don't want to stay shallow. You want to really dig into your ideas and get down to the meat of it. Don't just float on the surface. Both of those things are very important, but they won't help if your essay is not organized. So what I'm going to talk about today is organizing your essay, and I'm going to show you 4 common patterns that are used to organize essay writing. The first one is called 2 reasons. Now it's called 2 reasons, but you can use it with a different number of reasons. It could be 3 reasons, it could be 15 reasons if you had that many, or it could be only 1. 2 reasons is the easiest pattern, and it's easy for students to use because it's very straightforward. You put one reason after another, then another, then another, supporting each one with evidence. So it's pretty easy to do. It's not complicated, and you don't have to think too much about how to make it happen. The next type of essay pattern is called Nestorian order. Nestorian order is one that's used a lot by ministers because of the purpose that ministers have for what they say. They want to start off with a punch and end with a bang. This way, their parishioners are left with a big impression at the end of the sermon. Nestorian order is highly effective in testing situations. So it is crucial that you learn how to do this correctly. If you can master Nestorian order, there's not an essay writing portion on a test anywhere that you won't be able to handle easily and without having to have any kind of worry or test anxiety. Nestorian order works like this. Writers begin with their second strongest argument, one that they know very well and can support. Then you follow this with other ideas, arguments, and points that are not as strong. All of this leads up to the big finish. Using Nestorian order, the writer ends with their strongest argument, because this is going to leave the reader, or in the case of a test situation, the grader, with a strong impression. And this is very important. The third type of organizational pattern is called straw man and 1 reason. Now think about a straw man. Think of it be like a scarecrow. It looks human-like, but it's very flimsy and can easily be completely destroyed. That's the idea behind straw man and 1 reason. It starts off with writers raising an opposing point, an opposing argument, or a different idea than the one they're going to support. Then the writer completely invalidates the opposing idea. And what I mean by this is that the writer shows just how wrong the opposing side is. So after you've completely destroyed their argument, you go on to present your own arguments and points. Straw man is very common among lawyers because their goal is to discredit their opponent's argument so that they win the case. It also allows them to leave the jury with the sense that they are stronger than their opposing counsel. That's straw man and 1 reason. The last one is called concession. This is one that's favored by politicians. You use concession when there is some type of opposing argument that you cannot deny. It's there, and to pretend that it isn't there makes you look foolish. So you have to admit the other side has a point. So once you've done this, you've admitted or conceded that there is another side to the argument. You then proceed to explain how your side is right, and you continue to elaborate on your ideas and your points so that the reader is left with the idea that your side is right and the other side is wrong. That's concession. So with all these choices, how do you decide which pattern to use? Now, you guys know I'm a research person, and I've done a lot of research on this. Research has shown that student writers who use Nestorian, straw man and one reason, or concession tend to score higher on standardized tests than students who chose the easiest pattern, two reasons. Now, standardized tests would be things like the STAR test, the EOC, the SAT, the ACT, the GRE when you're ready to go to grad school. All of these things will ask you to write an essay. Choosing a pattern other than two reasons generally means that you will achieve a higher score. So that's something to think about. The main thing is you need to let the meaning dictate the form. What I mean by that is the one pattern that you should choose is whatever is best for what you're trying to say. If there's one opposing argument that you cannot deny, no matter how much you wish you could, a good choice for that type of paper might be concession. If there's an opposing argument, but it doesn't really have a leg to stand on compared to what you have, you could choose straw man. That way you already know that you're going to completely destroy the opposing argument so that yours will reign supreme. And then there's Nestorian. If you've got two strong ideas and one or two weaker ones, open your paper with your second strongest, then use the very one strongest to close it. That would be Nestorian order. So you have some options. It's a good idea to get as much information as you can about these different organizational patterns and master them. Practice. And I'm going to show you in the next few days how to practice working with these patterns and how easy it can be to choose something that's going to make your paper stronger.